everybody. We're going to get started with our Shopify course, session 7. Session 7, yes, of the Shopify course. So let me pull that up. I hope that you all are making progress in your store, in building your store. I want to see some stories today. If you have your stores that you want to share. I want to also be able to answer any questions that you might have about your store, how we can do to help improve your store, build out your store, and all of that. Let me pull up today. We talked about so much last week. There was a lot that was covered in the last session. This is session 7, and then we have session 8. And we are, at that point, done. So in session 6, we definitely went through some integrations around Shopify and all the apps that you can add to your store. We went through integrations with Pinterest, Etsy, Walmart, Amazon. We went through a lot of integrations. So let's go through and let's cover a couple more things for session 7. So session 7 is a recap, and session 7 is also a review of your store, answering your questions, and it's also about outsourcing operations. So that's what we're covering today. I'm trying to pull up my stuff. Me and my computer are always in a battle for my soul. So I love my computer, but it does give me grief sometimes. Yes, it is time to invest in new technology. So give me just a second as I pull this up, because this is crazy. All right. So tell me about your week. How has your week been? How are things going in your business? How is everything going for you all? Do you have your stores ready for review? Do you have your stores ready for review? Let me know. Very curious to find out where we are in this journey. All right, I think I got it now. One more thing to add, and then we're going to get started. What is that? Look at this. Okay, here we go. Let us get started. Let me share my screen. Not feeling today. Is there any way that I can show my next week? Yeah, let's do that. I do want to encourage everybody. First of all, I want to invite you all to get registered for the summit. So I'm just going to put this out there in the universe first before we get too far. So the eCom Seller Summit is coming up. It's actually in a week. And for the first time, we did not have enough opportunity to market it. So we're going to be marketing it later on today like crazy. So the page is not live yet, as you can tell. This is not what you see when you first come in, but the page is being updated. So the 2022 eCom Seller Summit is on the 21st through the 22nd. We're updating the pages today. We have 22 amazing speakers that are going to be speaking. And so let me just invite you to go to www.ecomsellersummit.com to get registered. Again, the page is being tweaked by one of my amazing VAs right now, so that the page will go live later on today. Jeff Schick is going to be talking. So is Mihal Chapnick, as well as Horace Lyon. Horace, I don't know if you followed him on his YouTube channel, but he definitely covers tactical arbitrage, the tool, and how he uses it to make money. So he's the working class hustler. We also have Nathan Hirsch. Nathan has been on our summit multiple times in the past. And let me just tell you, Nathan is awesome because of the fact that he actually used to own FreeUp. I don't know if you know that. FreeUp is a VA service that he used to own, and they sold it for a few million. Then after selling FreeUp, they created Outsource School, teaching you how to outsource to VAs. And then after that, he has now created eCom Balance. So for those of you that are challenged with your accounting and bookkeeping, you don't want to miss this session. It's going to be really good. I'm fine. Then we have Barbara Everett. She's going to be talking to us about Etsy and also print on demand. I'm excited about her session. Lysandra is back to talk to us about taxes. And Brooke Stinnett is here to talk to us about Amazon 101. If you've been challenged with getting going on Amazon, then this is an opportunity for you guys to kind of learn Brooke's approach of how to get started successfully on Amazon. I'm looking forward to his session as well. And Renata is going to be covering Mercari and I think also Facebook Marketplace, but I'm not really sure. I have to go back and double check. Then we have Justin Maynor. He's going to be talking to us about DataSpark and using tools to help you do effective product research and making business decisions with your business. Then we have Bill Kellert, and he is going to be talking to us about marketing and SEO. He probably could go in the advanced group, but that's okay. We have John Poldon, who is going to be talking to us about fulfillment centers here in the US and how they can help you maximize your profits. He is actually a seller himself. He owns his own brand. He's an interesting guy to talk to. And we have Sean Mayo, who's going to be talking to us about sourcing. I'm looking forward to that. Kristen Ostrander is going to be, and she spelled her name wrong, so I have to have the VA fix that. But anyway, the page is not live. It is not with an E after the R. But in any case, Kristen's going to be talking to us about bundles. I always love having people come on and talk about bundles because we all teach bundles from a different perspective. So learning the many faceted ways in which you can do bundles and be successful at it, I am in love with that. And I'm looking forward to Kristen's session. Tony is going to be talking to us about retail arbitrage and online arbitrage. Greg, we just got his photo today, and he's going to be talking to us about eBay. I'm looking forward to his session. He's been selling for many years, and so has Kristen. I think both of them, I think they've been selling for almost 20 years. Then the next group, we have Megala talking to us about India and how you can use India incorporated into your strategy. I think, over the last 2 years, a lot of people have been sourcing from China, and they're learning a lesson about sourcing from China. And so India is always a viable solution. There are other countries that are also a viable solution. So she's going to be covering that. Anthony and Ashley are going to be talking to us about private label. I haven't got a chance to look at their session yet, but I feel like it's going to be more from a white label, private label approach. But again, it is still an opportunity for all of us to incorporate private label in 2022. So definitely go get registered. All you have to do is go to www.ecomsellersummit.com right now. To register, you're going to see this page is a pre-registration page, and that's fine. The other page will go up later on today. Then we have Anika Grandison, who's a Shopify queen. If you've been following her, she has been on Clubhouse, and she has been teaching Shopify on Clubhouse. I'm a huge fan of hers, and she's been a lot of fun to talk to and to work with. Peter Prue is going to be talking to us about e-commerce funnels, and then Pauline is going to be talking to us about all things Canada related. And then I have not nailed down my topic because there's a couple of topics I wanted to cover. So I haven't nailed down my topic yet. So this page is on the back end of development, and it's not visible on the front end. This will technically be our 4th annual eCom Seller Summit. So invite a friend if you know somebody. Share it out when you see the link. If you want to register to be an affiliate, you're more than welcome to. At the bottom of the page, there'll be a link that says become an affiliate, and you'll be able to do it there. So those are our 22 speakers. We might have 2 additional surprise speakers join us. Those people weren't able to respond by the deadline, but they still want to talk. So I'm like, okay, we just may have 2 surprise speakers. So it may end up being 24 instead of 22. But in any case, I'm excited about it. And I just wanted to mention that before we got too far into the weeds today. And with that being said, let's see, what's the price? So the eCom Seller Summit is free to attend. It is free on the day of the broadcast. So you'll be able to watch Monday, absolutely free on Monday. You'll be able to watch Tuesday, free on Tuesday, Wednesday, free on Wednesday, Thursday, free on Thursday. This year, we're lowering the price, not because we don't have quality content. We just want more people to grab it and to be able to gain access to it. So if you previously bought any of the summits in the past, then you're going to get a separate email later on today with a discounted price. If you didn't, we're going to have an early bird price and then a regular price and then, a pre-sale price, a early bird price, and a regular price. So the pre-sale price is going to be, I think, 67. I think it's going to be 67. Regular price is going to be 97 if you want to buy the recordings. If you don't want to buy the recordings, then you don't have to worry about that. So, but I just wanted you guys to know that the summit is coming up and I think it's going to be awesome. We have all new speakers. And then we're also preparing for the Q4 summit, which I think is going to be off the chain. So it's already shaping up to be phenomenal. So tell a friend about the eCom Seller Summit that's coming up and then be on the lookout for the eCom Q4 Summit, which will be in August. So, all right. Well, with that being said, I am going to go ahead and get started. I wanted to mention this today before we got too far into the weeds of the many things going on. This is session 7 of an 8-session series. I am so hoping that you all had an opportunity to actually build out your store and to work on your store. If you didn't, we have one more session. I believe it is March the 5th. I got to turn around and look at the calendar. A second. Yes, it is March the 5th. Let me put these headphones in. So if for some reason, we don't get to see your store today, you literally will have a 2-week break and we will be able to look at your store on March the 5th. I will show you my calendar and planner store. Actually, I was working on it, but of course I had to stop and work on the summit. So mine will be done. And I think it's going to be awesome. So make sure you have your store ready to rock and roll and to show us next session, which will be March the 5th. All right, so today, hopefully last week you had a chance to go through and look at the apps, look at the integrations. Hopefully you had a chance to do some sourcing and hopefully you've kind of gone through the process. We offer all the time the eCom planner, but that you're going through the checklist of things that we've suggested that you do. You will ultimately have a checklist. It's actually been built out. Just all of my VAs have been slammed on this summit. So I kind of feel bad about that. But I do want to know what questions you have, because there's a lot of stuff that we will be throwing at you after we get past this weekend. There's been a lot of work that's been done on the summit. So what questions do you have about your store? What problems are you running into? What challenges are you having with any connections or integrations or installing apps or making modifications to your, not the template, but oh Lord, I know what it is. The layout of your store. I cannot think of the word right now, but what changes, like if there's something that you want to make changes to, have you been able to add your banners? Have you been able to add your collections? Have you been able to add products? Are you planning on using a tool to import products from drop shipping? So like Oberlo, or are you planning on using a tool like a Spocket or Dropify to import products into your store? Are you manually adding your products? Are you integrating your store with Walmart or importing inventory items from Amazon or cross-listing your items over on Pinterest? Like, what's your strategy? What's your approach? What are you doing with your store? So last week we covered all of the items that I mentioned before. We actually did not, we went over the Black Friday checklist in session 5. So, and we also talked about your numbers in session 5. So that this information is slightly off, but we did talk about customer service and we talked about returns last week. And we actually talked about Etsy and Pinterest and Amazon and integrating those to your store, or either using other tools like Oberlo, Pocket, or Shopify to import products into your store using the back end, whoever your supplier is, using them to fulfill orders directly to your customer. So all you have to do is just check to make sure they're getting processed. We talked about all of that in session 6. So today it is about a review of all of the amazing things that have to do with setting up your Shopify store. So with that being said, let me just start at the top. The first thing that we did cover as far as your store is concerned is, like, why do you need a store? What type of stores are there? And how you can use your store to make money. There are a lot of people that have decided that, or some people that have decided that Amazon is just too demanding, too exhausting. We refer to it as getting PTSD when dealing with Amazon because the rules change often. Just know that the rules will change on other platforms as well, because as long as you are selling on other platforms, then you really don't own the entire customer experience. But with Shopify, you have a better chance of owning at least 90 to 95% of the customer experience. Shopify is still in the mix in the background. And, as long as you're not doing anything unethical or illegal, your store is still your store as long as you're making your payments. Whereas if you're selling on any of the other platforms, that's not always the case. So that's why Shopify may be a viable solution for you if you're frustrated with any of the challenges that you might have with selling on other platforms. Maybe you have some amazing products and you want to incorporate those products into a store so that you can take people off of Amazon or off of whatever other platform and have them come directly to your store. Shopify is a great opportunity for branding yourself. So that's why I think Shopify is a viable solution for some of you who have amazing product ideas or amazing products that you're already selling, or maybe you're wanting to launch something in 2022. Shopify may be the thing for you. There may be the opportunity that has been missed. And so we kind of talked through all of that in session 1 and session 2. Themes. I could not think of the word for whatever reason. So the next thing was, in session 2, we did talk about themes and attaching a theme to your store. We definitely talked about branding. We got into the weeds about talking about branding, doing some keyword research, a little bit of that, but setting up your Shopify store. So we talked through what needs to happen to set up your Shopify store. What are the things we need to make sure that we have? And in that session, like, okay, we created like a logo. If you didn't already create a logo, we talked about with the domain. We talked about doing research about the domain and making sure that you had everything that you need to actually create your store, which is that address, that email address. You don't want anything that has Gmail on it. You just don't want that. You want a legitimate domain. And we also talked about acquiring the social media assets. So I think I gave many different examples. One of them I use over and over again all the time is the dog leashes, like dog leashes for people who have little dogs and they want to walk them on the beach. Like, this is the ultimate dog leash for you. And using that as an example of a product that you could potentially sell. Are dog leashes in demand? And we went through, I think, the exercise in session 3 of validating the product. Is there a demand for it? Is there an audience for it? Is there an interest in it? What are the Google trends, the searches for that? Are there any Facebook groups around small dogs? Yes or no? Are there stores that you could be putting together that you could use as a reference around selling small dog products? And so we went through that exercise as part of session 2, session 3, and we began the process of actually building out our store in session 3. We went through, picked a theme, we set up collections, we imported our logo, and we did all of this as a dummy type of exercise or setup. So if ultimately at the end of the day, that domain, that store, that Shopify store was not one that you wanted to keep, that was for the exercise of actually setting up a store. So we did a 14-day trial. Of course, we're past the 14 days. So if you want to do anything else with the store, more than likely, you're going to have to at least pay for 1 month, at least at a minimum. So we created a dummy logo on Tater Brands, maybe. There's a couple of different sites that you could create a logo from. We picked out our colors. I suggested that like you could use another store, looking at what are the colors for the types of store that you wanted to open. So if I wanted to open up a pet related store or a store around small dogs, I would go and look at a couple of different stores, Shopify stores that are out there that had that sold pet supplies. See what the coloring scheme is, what's the layout of the store. Not that our stores will be identical, because they won't be, but maybe I can gain some inspiration and some ideas based on looking at another Shopify store. So be inspired by that. And then taking that information and using it to potentially my benefit. So we went out, I think, and when I asked the question in the group when we were creating the store, I said, what are we going to do? And I think somebody said coffee mugs. And so I went out and did a Google search for random coffee mugs. I chose all white coffee mugs. I think I did handcrafted and handmade and large oversized coffee mugs. I think those were the two. And we picked some pictures. We picked one picture that was a lifestyle to go onto our Shopify store as part of the rotation. We also picked another picture to showcase several different coffee mugs. And then in addition to that, we named some of the images so that we could import them into our product list. So those are in session 2 and 3, where we went through that exercise, and maybe even session 4, and setting up the store, adding products, adding the collections, and kind of updating the layout. So you want to go back through those sessions if you didn't finish that. And then as part of the rest of that wrap up, we did talk about different places that you can source products from. I think that was more in session 4, but we did cover at that point, we covered, let me scroll down just for a second. We covered all the other setup pages. So we covered the setup pages around preferences. We covered the setup pages, everything that's under settings, the fact that you need to attach your Shopify payments, the fact that you need to update your meta tags. Maybe you need to add your logo as part of one of the things that people see if they were searching for it. We talked about other integration tools like your email marketing tool that you might integrate. We went through all of those other features that are under settings to set up your store and to get it ready. And I talked about testing your store, testing it over and over again to check the customer experience. What are they going to experience when they add it to cart? What do they see? Do you need to change anything about that page? What are they going to see when they go to the checkout page to pay? You know, are you going to streamline and simplify that? So all of those pieces were part of it. Long-term, bigger picture, are you planning on creating a structure for your store where customers can be part of a membership? Again, you don't have to do that today and in this class, but that's something to think about for the future. So maybe you're going to be offering subscription boxes or around caring for tiny dogs. I mean, you just carry this theme forward. So that kind of stuff, and keeping that in mind. And then sourcing the products, where are your products coming from as part of your store? So if you have maybe one section of your store you're integrating directly from using the tool or Burlo or maybe Dropify or Spocket, and then another section of your store you're using print on demand themes. So maybe you're selling hats with tiny dogs on them and t-shirts with tiny dogs on them. And, I don't know, socks with tiny dogs on them. And then maybe another section is at like a physical product, or maybe you're doing a subscription box section where you're doing dog treats. So what would your store look like, and how do you add those sections to your store? Covered all of that. Sessions 2, 3, 4, and how to run Facebook ads, kind of step through the setup for that, and how to run Google ads. Bing ads are very similar to that. We went through that exercise. So session 5 and session 6 was about the customer experience. The validating was, I believe, in session 2 and 3. So definitely make sure that you go through and validate the customer experience to make sure that the products that you're choosing to sell, that there's truly an audience for it. And do the keyword research that we talked about in those sessions, because that's where you'll have the opportunity to gain some organic traffic to your store by following some of the exercises I said, which was naming your images, doing the keyword research, naming your images, making sure your titles are strong, all of that stuff. Your descriptions are good. Those are going to help you with getting some organic traffic. And then in the marketing, do you use Drop or not Umbrella? I use Dropify. So on my store, it's Dropified. For the new store, for the calendar and the planner, we're going to integrate it with a print-on-demand supplier. And so I will be doing that integration. And that's another thing, is when we went through the apps, we did the apps research in session 5 and session 6. What are the integration opportunities and what are the app opportunities? And so we went through that exercise. There are apps that you can integrate directly with your store so that when people buy something from your store, if there's an app integration, it will automatically fulfill it on the back end. Perfect example would be a print on demand. Like I mentioned, the hats and the shirts and the socks. So there's print on demand suppliers that have an app that you can integrate with your Shopify store. You create the account with Printified or Printful or whoever you decide to go with. You just want to make sure that they have an integration, whether it's an integration from their tool directly to Shopify, or you go to the Shopify app store and you can find it over there. And there's a reverse integration from the app store to your Shopify store. And then they're going to have you connect your actual account with Printify or Printful or whoever you decide to use. So that exercise, or talking through that process, we did that in session 5 and also parts of session 6. So if you're going to do something like that, there's some great tools out there to set up your integration for your Shopify store for that. Do you think Drop is better than Umbrella? The question is, someone's asking, do I think that Dropified is better than Umbrella? I think both of the tools are really good. I chose Dropified because they offer an additional service where you can brand supplements. And so I'm on a journey for rolling out a subscription box around COVID recovery and being able to sell supplements or to offer supplements. I mean, I could offer supplements and not actually have it branded, but if I want to brand it, they have an opportunity there to be able to brand supplements. So I chose Dropified for that reason. I also like that there's some features in the Dropified app. At that time, maybe Umbrella has updated theirs or Spocket has updated theirs that I kind of liked, but Umbrella is free. And then there's a paid version, of course. Dropified has a free sorta, and Spocket does too. So you can decide based on where you're on your journey in your e-commerce business, what you're planning on doing long-term. If you have a short-term vision, then Umbrella may be the version that you try and you test for 3 months until you kind of flush out what your vision is for your store. And then when you're ready, you're going to reassess the tools that you acquired and maybe make a different decision. So I think that's the best answer I can give you. With that being said, I hope that helps. All of the integrations that you have with your store, I recommended, like if you're going to add apps outside of like your Walmart and your Amazon and your, like your Printify and Printful and all the other stuff, that you try not to exceed more than 10 apps on your store. Over time, there's going to be an impact to the performance of your store if you have a bunch of apps that you've incorporated. So that's why you want to keep it to a limit. You always want to be testing the performance. You want to make sure your store is coming up quickly. There is a Shopify 2.0. That's not all of the themes have been updated to the new Shopify 2.0 coding logic, but behind the scenes, basically, from a front-end user, you're not going to see significant differences. There's going to be some minor differences. for a Shopify theme that you choose. But on the back end, from a technical standpoint, there are significant differences between the two. And one of them may be that there may be some things that operate a little faster, and there may be some things that don't operate as fast as you would like, because again, if you go to 2.0, you're pretty much part of the test process because the developers have to test this out to see if the theme works. So I'm going to stick with the historical until I'm going to let them work out using 2.0 for the next year or so. That's just me. So you can decide that. But in any case, go look at the apps, go look at the themes, definitely go back through those sessions and figure out which apps you think are going to make sense for your store based on what you're trying to accomplish with your store. And then last but not least, on session 6, we finished up apps and integrations, and we started on social signals, selling strategies, reverse sourcing, bundles. We talked about bundle opportunities. There are some amazing apps inside of Shopify that will let you create virtual bundles and help you keep track of what's happening with your virtual bundles. And so again, there's so much flexibility and opportunities in Shopify when it comes to your store. So that is a quick recap. It's like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes to try and recap what we've covered. We actually did go out, build a store. We added something to our store. We added sections. We changed the color of the sections. We changed the label. We did all these amazing things. We went in, we updated the preferences. We went in and we created our privacy page and our shipping policy page and our refund policy, our return policy page. We've done a lot in our store. You know, the one thing that may take you a little bit more time is just double checking what you're going to do with your taxes. If you're sourcing from different states, you need to make sure that wherever you're doing fulfillment, that you actually have that listed in your locations table. And I mentioned that, I want to say that was in session 3, may have been also session 4. So keep that in mind when you're going through your store and setting up your integrations, if you want to automate more of the store so you're not working in it. For some people, they will just work in their Shopify store, and that's fine. But there are other people that they're just like, I want to automate as much of this as possible so that it is fulfilled automatically by an external process. So whether it's all of my print on demand stuff is fulfilled by Printful, all of my orders for physical products are fulfilled through my integration through AliExpress using a front-end tool like Ali or Burlo or Dropify or Spocket. Again, figuring out what your strategy is going to be for sourcing products. So today we're going to talk about outsourcing. And we're going to talk about your store. If you are a person that is planning on using a tool to do your fulfillment for your orders, that's fantastic. But if you're going to maybe do a subscription box, or you're going to sell physical products, or you're going to order inventory in bulk and sell those physical products, then you may choose to outsource to a fulfillment center and or a prep center that can handle whatever you decide you're going to do from that standpoint. So let's talk about what a VA can do for your business when we're talking about outsourcing. And then we'll talk about fulfillment centers and what they can do for your business when we're talking about outsourcing. Okay. And then maybe some of you, sourcing from Walmart is the same as AliExpress. No, not really. I mean, there might be some products that are on the Walmart website that may also be found on AliExpress, because again, remember that on Walmart, now you have third-party sellers. So, I mean, you've had third-party sellers for a while. They just have an increased presence. In other words, I can sell on Walmart. You can sell on Walmart. People that don't know that there are third-party sellers on Walmart don't realize that until after they bought something and they want to return it. So, yes, there could be products that are AliExpress products that are on Walmart. That's entirely possible. But the reality is, there's third-party sellers. So where are the third-party sellers getting their inventory? They could be getting their inventory from AliExpress. They could be getting their inventory from any number of places. They could be getting it from a liquidation. They could be going out and actually doing retail arbitrage and online arbitrage and reselling it back onto Walmart.com. That happens. There's a whole course on that. So I don't know where the inventory may potentially be coming from. AliExpress is one of those places that it could potentially be coming from. Just depends on what it is. So, like a cheese grater, you'll find that on AliExpress. I'm a third-party seller. I could buy that in bulk and I could list it on Walmart. But there's a whole Walmart course that talks about selling stuff on Walmart and what you can do with that. The thing that you want to know is from a Shopify store standpoint, there is an integration that is available that is pretty cool. If you have not gotten approved to be able to sell on Walmart.com, you could use the Shopify Walmart integration to help you through the application process and possibly help you expedite your application being approved. The one thing I will tell you about Walmart is that they definitely do want to make sure that you have an EIN. You're not going to be selling on their platform with a social security number. That's hashtag fact number one. Hashtag fact number two is that they want to see some real selling history, meaning you got to have some real selling stats and proof of it. They're going to ask you for your store so they can go review it and evaluate it and determine whether or not they want to allow you to be able to sell your products on their platform. So those are the two things. But again, there's a whole Walmart course on that. The biggest piece of this is you could use the integration between Walmart and Shopify to import some of your products from Walmart and put them on your Shopify store. You could take some of your products from your Shopify store and push them to your Walmart listings. And those are two options that are available to you. So you can read about all the integrations. Definitely, I covered those in session 5. I think it was 5 or 6. So I covered those in sessions 5 or 6 because there's so many integration options available. But you need to have a plan for your store. It can't just be random. It can't be just like, oh, I'm going to take all my listings from Amazon and push them over to my Shopify store. And I'm going to take all my listings from Walmart and push them to my Shopify store. Then it becomes, what type of store is this? Is this going to be a store that people can find? Is this a random store? Or are you trying to actually create a store that people are actually searching for? So if the products that you're selling are like a bunch of wholesale products that are focused on a specific theme or category or something like that, that makes sense. If it's a range of random stuff, like you're selling tires and dog leashes and I don't know, shovels and picture frames, like, okay, this is like all over the scoreboard and there is not a specific theme to the Shopify store. Then maybe you become a wholesaler and you create a wholesale site. That may make more sense. You're still going to have to categorize your stuff because people are going to be looking for things in categories. So just automatically pulling in all your stuff into your Shopify store does not make sense. And automatically pushing all your stuff from your Shopify store out to certain platforms does not always make sense. You should have a purpose, an intent, a plan before you do something like that. And you should always vet any products that you sell on any platform to verify that it is a product that people are seeking, wanting, using, needing, or that it's going to improve their life in some kind of way. All right. So with that being said, I hope that answered your question. Probably way more information than you were planning to receive. I'm sorry. So let's talk about VAs for just a second. So I happen to love VAs. VAs can be a wonderful blessing to your business, and they can also slow down your business. So you need to be prepared for that. You need to be prepared for the fact that your VA journey is not going to be golden. I can attest to that over and over and over again. But I am grateful for it, and it has freed up my life. So I am a single mom, 2 special needs kids, been doing this unofficially since 2008, officially since 2014. Because there was a whole window where I was doing some other, like I was having garage sales. I was selling stuff on Craigslist. I was getting inventory from different people, blah, blah, blah. I also ran a candy vending business. So I had a variety of stuff happening, but it was still part of the entrepreneurial journey. And I was doing online selling, but not in the same capacity that it looks like today. So Craigslist, it's still out there in the universe. Are people buying off of Craigslist? Not like they used to. Let me just tell you, Craigslist used to be the bomb back in the day. And then Facebook garage sale groups, like Facebook garage sale groups was not a thing until like maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. But prior to that, like in 2008, it was not a thing. It was just not. So you would have to go to different websites to find garage sales. You'd have to post your garage sales there. And so my strategy was to go find posted garage sales and go ask them if I could have their stuff so that I could sell it. I wouldn't tell them I was going to sell it, but okay, we'll pick up anything you have left over. So that was my whole strategy. And I would use that to be able to sell stuff back onto Craigslist at the time. And then I would also pick up free stuff. So I had all kinds of interesting e-commerce journeys prior to today. And the one thing that I have learned is that freeing up my time to be able to spend time either with my kids or work on other parts of my business, I needed to figure out how to duplicate myself, how to replicate myself, how to get more done in a day. And so I have found that a VA is the most effective way to do that. Is it perfect? No, it is not. People are people. The VAs are humans. And so there are things that happen in this human journey, things that happen. Family members die, people get sick, technology goes down, computers die. You're going to have stuff that just happens because if it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody else. But I would not change a thing. I would definitely always have a VA from this day forward because I'm able to get more stuff done. So when I say get more stuff done, the things that a VA can do in your business, again, it's all about what are the tasks that I am doing that I can hand off to somebody else so that I can go focus on either higher income producing activities, more important decision related activities, or simplify the mundane tasks that you do every single day that you're like, I wish somebody would take this off my plate. I wish I wasn't doing it. So that's what a VA can do for you. Take the mundane off and automate some of that. And again, the process of getting them going is going to take time. But once they're going, and as long as they're established for a period of time, life actually gets better over time. So you want to take advantage of potentially getting a VA when you are profitable and when you have money. So my strategy for VAs, and I still use it to this day, is I use a 90-day strategy, a 3-month strategy. I pick a window in which I'm selling products, that I'm going to sell products and take the excess money off the top and put it into a pool to cover a VA for 3 months. Okay. Why do I pick 3 months? Well, the first month is all about getting the VA and getting them acclimated and getting them started. So that first 30 days of having a VA, you're not going to gain as much traction and things are not going to happen the way you would like for them to work because you're still going to be fleshing out the kinks. They're not going to understand maybe your operating procedures. Maybe you didn't write really good operating procedures. Maybe they're not a fit. It could be a number of things. Maybe they need more technology, so they got to wait and buy another computer or laptop in order to be able to do the job. So the first 30 days is not necessarily a bust, but it is a window in which you're trying to get that person up to speed, and you're also trying to fine tune your business operation documentation and procedures. The next 30 days is when you should actually start to see your business impacted in a way that's hopefully positive by actually having that VA on board. So now the VA is getting up to speed. They're getting more comfortable with whatever you're having them do, whether you have them doing product research, whether you have them doing keyword research for you, whether you have them cleaning up images, whether you have them doing your titling, whether you have them checking your integrations for your Shopify store and making sure that the connections are good, whether you have them checking to see if orders have been fulfilled on the back end by the suppliers, whatever you have them doing, again, they're going to get better at it over that 60-day window. So the first 30 days, getting them up to speed, get going, Next one, they're going to gradually impact your business, hopefully in a positive way. The last 30 days is taking that, you should really see the momentum, and there should be a revenue increase in your business or a revenue improvement in your business in that last 30 days, so the 90-day, that you can take that excess revenue and cover that person for the next 90 days. So for some, depending on what type of VA you hire, where they are, you can find VAs to run your business or to work in your business for an hourly rate, or you can find them to work in your business for a flat amount. I've been fortunate. I have one VA, or technically two, in the US, but I have one definitely in the US. And of course, their salary is much higher than the international VAs. So I have 5 international VAs And they work, most of them work anywhere from 30 to 40 hours a week, and I pay them a flat salary. So when I say taking that excess money, if you made, because the VA came in and helped improve your business, so in the first 60 days, maybe you made an extra $100 more than what you originally would have made if that person wasn't there. Take that extra $100 and put that aside. And then that last 30 days, which is the 90-day window of the 3-month window, 90 days, maybe in that window, you made an extra $600. So now you have the 100 plus the 600. You're going to take that excess $700 and put that aside. If you're hiring a VA and maybe you're getting VA that's working 20 hours a week, and that VA is, you're paying them $200 for 20 hours a week, you literally have 200 for the first 30 days, 200 for the second 30 days, and 200 for the third 30 days. So that's $600, and you had excess of $700. You've got them covered for the next 90 days. So that's the strategy that I always use, making sure that I take the excess money, I focus on a period in time, and I take the excess money that I would traditionally have made, and I use that money to cover a VA. I'll give you a better example. So Easter is a peak selling time. Whether you're doing retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, whether you're doing white label or print on demand or drop shipping, private label, you're going to be in a specific market. So you may not be selling things that will be impacted by Easter if you're doing private label. But white label, you can choose products where you can throw your brand on it. Print on demand, you can choose Easter related products and all of that. So maybe you have sales, and I'm just going to use even numbers. Maybe you're making $1,000 a month in sales or in profits, okay? So no matter what, regardless of whether it's Easter or whether it's Christmas or whether it's back to school or whether it's just any random month like the month of June, doesn't matter. You always make at least $1,000, okay? Anything above $1,000 is excess. So for Easter, maybe your excess is you made an extra $1,000. So you got your baseline money that you always make no matter what. So it's $1,000. And you made an extra $1,000 for Easter. I'm going to take that extra $1,000 and I'm going to put that aside and use that money and invest it into hiring a VA for 90 days. That's how I do that. So whatever is coming up, you at least need to know where you are from a revenue standpoint in your business, whatever's coming up. So we got St. Patty's Day coming up in March, and spring break's coming up in March. And I don't know, Final Four is coming up in March, and in April, you've got Easter coming up in April, and then you're going into Mother's Day and all that other fun stuff. And then, May, you've got graduations and all of that. But there's always going to be some baseline money that you're making in your business, hopefully. If you don't know what the baseline is, that should be your first thing, is stabilizing your business. So you have a baseline amount of revenue that you make every single month, no matter what. You can start with a low baseline of, I only make $200 a month. Your goal is ultimately to get above $200. But again, you got to have a baseline to start with. And then from there, you can build on that. If you need help with any of that, like planning and strategy type of stuff, you need to come to the eCom planning sessions that I have. But anyway, because the ecom planning sessions, like we talk about building a strategy to increase incrementally over time to improve your business. But if you have a baseline number of $1,000 that you're making every single month, then as you hit these peaks and valleys, because holidays are peaks, and then after the holiday is over, you're in a valley, and then the next holiday or major event is a peak, and then you go back into the valley, and then you have back to school as a peak, and then you go back into the valley. And so in those peaks, grab that excess money and put it aside to cover a VA. If you do that, then you could cover a VA for an entire year. When you have a VA in your business for an entire year, you have to know that your numbers are going to improve automatically. As long as you've got an operating procedure in place to teach that VA what you need them to do to take the stress off of you so you can focus on other stuff that's going to improve or impact your business. So you need to have a financial plan in order to acquire that VA. You got to have the money to cover the VA. So I've just told you how to find the money. Once you have the money, you can use the stuff that from here on to help you in your business. So you get the money, you start building out your standard operating procedures. Then after you build out your standard operating procedures, now you can go through the process of hiring a VA and changing your business for the better. And just be like, okay, your business will just continue to skyrocket or improve over time as long as you're paying attention to the data and making data-driven decisions. So all of that is reasons why you want to free up your life. You want to multiply yourself and you want to free up your life. That's why you want a VA. How do you find the money for the VA? I just gave you a strategy that I use to help me to find the money for a VA. So I hope you use that to your advantage because you got some holidays coming up and you could be selling a bunch of stuff just to get that. But you got to get your baseline numbers. And if you don't know your baseline numbers, that is the first thing you need to fix. You need to know how much money you're making in your business every single month, no matter what. So then the next thing, as we talk about why you need a VA, then we're going to go through, okay, let's talk about what's the impact of having a VA. Outside of multiplying yourself, increasing your productivity, increasing your profits, because over time, that VA's work, if they're doing it right, and if you did your part right, will improve your business. Again, it won't be perfect for the first 90 days. It might be like, oh my gosh, it's horrible. My suggestion to you is definitely make sure you have your VA in place and everything working as you want it to before you go into September, okay? Q4. As you get closer to Q4, that is not the time to be implementing a brand new VA. There is no way that you're going to be able to maintain running your business and handling a VA at the same time, unless you got the bandwidth. If you got the bandwidth and you can bring in more resources to take over other stuff you are doing, then it's okay for you to train a VA. If you don't, this is your window to do everything you can to train your VA from today all the way up to September, or get a VA on place, or get the money to hire a VA, do all that stuff before September, all of it, okay? So what's the risk of having a VA? Well, okay, access to some of your stuff. A lot of the platforms, you can set up a secondary ID that they will log in as themselves, and you can restrict the amount of access they have on a lot of the platforms. And some of the platforms, you may determine that they need to log in as you, and that's just the nature of some of that. Or you may say, this is a task they will never do, but they can do something else so I can focus on this task. So there are tasks that you can have VAs do where they will have zero access to your accounts. So that's something that's always an option as well. Taking the time, hiring a VA, training a VA is going to take time. You need to build that into your regular schedule. Training a VA takes time. It's going to take time out of stuff that you're doing. It's going to take time out of your life. You got to build that into a schedule. If you don't, it's not going to work out. That's just hashtag facts. You got to have the money. I gave you a strategy on how to get the money. And then you have to have an expectation. The VA is not going to solve all your problems on day one. It's not going to solve, they're not going to solve all your problems on day 15. You're going to see a gradual improvement over time. You have to think of like hiring a VA like your weight loss journey, okay? Or if any of you ever played sports, so maybe some of you played sports when you were in high school or middle school or elementary school. And so there's a gradual progression on improvement when you're practicing sports. If you have a son that was maybe in football, so he was in little, or maybe bitty basketball. So when they first started playing basketball, like they couldn't even dribble down the court, let alone gain control of the ball. Like, okay. So it's a gradual progression of getting better over time with their skills so that they see an improvement and they impact the game, they impact the team. That's the same thing with your VA. It's a gradual progression of improvement over time so that they impact the team, they impact your e-commerce journey, they impact your business, hopefully in a positive way. So you need to have that expectation. This is not an overnight thing. You're not going to lose weight overnight unless you chop off a thigh. Like if you chop off a thigh, you will immediately be slimmer. I mean, like you'll weigh less. It doesn't solve the problem because you still got a weight distribution issue, but you will weigh less. That's an immediate improvement in the scale if that's your goal. But if that is not your goal and you really want to fix the weight distribution, then you got to do something different. So again, setting the expectation. And then separating out your VAs in what they are capable of doing or what they can do. So I separate things by 3 different categories. I have the doers, the thinkers, and the specialists. The doers are the simple tasks. That's it. Like you say, here's a stack of files. I need you to take this stack of files and put them in that file drawer in alphabetical order. A doer
as long as they know the alphabet, can do that. If they can read and they know the alphabet, they can put stuff in a file drawer in alphabetical order. Okay, hopefully. You have a thinker, somebody that you need to do beyond what a doer would do. Someone that can do maybe some more advanced thinking, maybe somebody that can take the data that they're looking at and do something with it, or compile it in such a way so that you can do something with it. So since we're talking about Shopify stores, so a doer might be a person that is just doing, oh, I don't know, maybe they're cleaning up images for you. You're not giving them anything else complicated. You're giving them a tool, say, here's the images are in this folder. I need you just to go clear the background. Okay, straightforward. Drop the images into this folder. Here is a Loom video that shows you how to take an image from this folder, put it in this folder, and rename it. Or don't even give them the rename, because renaming might require some additional thinking. Okay, so that's a simple task. Or maybe you're going out there and say, what are the, I'm trying to think of something that's really simple. Go find a list of, go to Amazon.com, do a Google search on Amazon bestsellers, and go find the top products that sold for Christmas on Amazon and the Amazon top 100. So they can do a couple of Google searches. They can go to Amazon.com, see what they can find in the top 100 under toys, and give you a list. All they're doing is typing from a screen onto a sheet of paper, and here's your list, and they're done. That's it. They're not doing anything else complicated. Okay. The thinkers are going to take that and do some additional analysis. They're going to say, okay, what are these products? Are these products that I sell? I don't just sell them for Christmas. Maybe they also sell for Valentine's Day, or maybe they sell just because, no matter what. It's not really a seasonal or specific holiday related product. It's something that sells all the time. So an example of that might be in the toy category, like Legos. People buy Legos for their kids all the time. They buy them for Christmas. They buy them for birthdays. They buy them for something to do in the summertime. They buy them for different things, for kids who like Legos and won't swallow them. So they're going to be older kids. So in other words, giving them something to do, keeping their brains going. So that's something that people will use all the time. So if you have a thinker, you can say, okay, take this list, separate it out into, maybe they separate it into toys that are for toddlers, and toys that are for kids that are in preschool, and toys that are for kids that are in elementary, toys that are middle school, toys that are high school. Maybe they do some advanced sorting by toys that are for girls and toys that are for boys. So they're doing more with the data so that you don't have to do that analysis. And maybe they take it even a step further. So after they've done all that sorting and they've given you this data back, maybe the other thing is, now let's go find the wholesale suppliers for these toys. Aha. So you have a thinker on your hands that can help you with that level of analysis. What kind of business decisions could you make if you had somebody that went out, did the research to find out which toys are selling, which months are they selling more of, which, like taking the data, maybe using some additional tools, and slicing that up so that you can make better data-driven decisions. They can help you with some of that analysis, because there's great tools out there that will give you some information, but the human eye and some of the things that like a human can think through some stuff, whereas an AI tool may not always think 100% like a human. So having a VA that can do some of that research for you, telling you who the wholesale suppliers are for some of these toys, then you're done. Okay. And again, there are tools that will do some of that for you as well, but having a VA to have a conversation might help you with that. And then a specialist, somebody that has to do more than what a thinker can do. So a specialist is more of a person, like maybe they're running your Google ads, maybe they're running your Facebook ads, maybe they're creating your marketing videos for you. Okay. So they're doing more advanced stuff that specialize in a specific category or niche. Maybe their specialty is marketing. Maybe their specialty is email marketing. Maybe they can help you with some of your email marketing game or promotional campaigns and stuff like that. So that may be what their jam is. So think about, what are the tasks that you need to have done? What are the thinker tasks, doer tasks? The doer task, the thinker task, and the specialist task. People call these different things. Like, that's just the terminology that I use, because doer made sense. Like, I need somebody to do some stuff for me. So I just need you to do some basic stuff for me. So I call you a doer, because you just do some basic stuff for me. Versus a thinker. I need you to really think through, do some analysis, do some strategizing, with this information and take it to the next level. And then a specialist, specialists or specialists, like somebody that specializes in a specific task. Somebody had their hand raised. So what question? I can unmute you guys. Like, if you want to ask some questions, let's ask some questions. Allowed to talk, allowed to talk, allowed to talk. Okay, so what question can I answer? I have. Okay. All right, so I've allowed all of you to talk. If you want to unmute yourself, you can ask questions and we'll go from there. Okay, so moving on. So feel free to ask questions as we go along here. So then we have the next thing is, oh, go ahead.
How do you?
Hi.
To help you do that, like where do you get those VA from? Like, is it a site?
We are actually going to cover that, but for me, I was lucky to find someone that had a niece that lived in another country, and so he had me reach out to the niece, and from there, the niece actually connected me with people in her community, and so I literally got all my VAs from one person. But that was luck. There are sites, and we're going to talk about some of the sites here in a second. But yeah, there's sites. If you know people, you have connections. Like some of us know people who actually live in other countries. We have friends who live in Africa, or friends that have family members who live in Africa, people that we trust. And so my friend, I actually had been working with him for like 8 years, 7 or 8 years. And we always talked about sourcing from India. And so it ended up being, he and I just continued that conversation about sourcing from India, and he would always have his niece go check on some stuff for me. And then it just blossomed into hey, I need a VA. So she became my first VA. She had a friend, a neighbor. They became my second VA. Then she had a sister-in-law. They became a third VA. Like it just blossomed. Like, I need somebody else to do this. So, but you have to know what it is you want people to do. So I hope that answers part of that question. So knowing what to outsource. The thing that I tell everybody to start with is write down what you do every single day, every week, every month. You got to start keeping a log so that you know what you could potentially outsource. You got to start with that. Sort it by the easiest to the hardest. Again, what are the things that the doer can do? Because again, in most cases, the doer does not have to have access to any of your accounts. They don't have to have access to any of your stuff, depending on what the doer task is. But in order for you to figure that out, you got to write down what is the stuff you do in your business. So write down the stuff you do in your business. If you are that slammed that you are so busy that you don't have time to write down the stuff that you do in your business, then tackle it a different way. Again, come to the eCom planning session. I'll tell you, there's many different ways you can tackle it. But one might be once a week on Sunday, you just start building a checklist of what you remember that you did for the week. Just take 15 minutes and just do a brain dump of what you believe that you did for the week. Just write it down. And then do it again the next week and do it again the next week. And as you start to look at what you wrote down for a couple of weeks, you might start to see a pattern of, okay, I have listing stuff. Well, what are the pieces of the listing journey? Well, the pieces of the listing journey are, I got to come up with a title. I got to do keyword research. I have a title. I got to have a description. I got to have pictures. I got to name my pictures. So that's part of my lovely listing journey. I got to put the stuff up online. Part of the listing journey. What pieces of that listing journey could somebody do for me that could save me time? Well, initially, when I first got started, taking photos, like, it was just a lot of work. It was like, oh, okay, now I've taken all the photos. Now I got to go clean the photos and I got to name the photos. And I was like, this is taking forever. So I was like, let me take that piece and hire somebody to do that piece. So the first person I hired was, before the VAs that I have now, was a young man, because in the autism community, there was a young man that was going away to college and has Asperger's, and he wanted to make some money while he was in college. So I met him while he was in high school. He did some work for me when he graduated from high school that summer, when he first graduated, and he wanted to be able to do this in the college dorm. So he came to my house and I taught him how to take pictures. I taught him how to rename the images. I taught him how to clean up the backgrounds. And so he took that job with him to college. That was something I didn't have to do anymore. I was like, yes, thank God. And then as he got better at it, because I like to make bundles, then he started working on taking virtual pictures, like taking pictures of images that were already online and cleaning them up and then putting them into my cluster photo picture set and all this other stuff. So he just continued to work on that. Then he started working on keyword research. I taught him how to reverse engineer a bundle that he would see online and get the name of the bundle and figure out all the words that they're using over and over again. What are those keywords they're using to describe it, or how you use it, or what the purpose of it is? So he would literally do that work. And it was a gradual progression of him making my life better over time. But you got to start with the easiest. What's the easiest thing in the stuff that you do every single day? So just start with a checklist. Dedicate, commit to sitting down 15 minutes and doing that. Think about if you have a Shopify store right now, what are the things that you're doing in your Shopify store every single day? Write down a checklist. And then from that checklist of items, maybe you only come up with 10 items, there is a subtask under every single one of those 10 items. You start breaking down subtasks associated with number one, all the subtasks that are associated with number two, and all the steps. Subtask number three. Now what you're gradually doing is you're actually building an operating procedure. This is how I do these things. So you can take all of that, record a video. Now you have a document, record a video, hand it over to a VA, ask them to watch the video, ask them if they have any questions, watch them do the job a couple of times, turn it over to them. Done. Next task. That's how you hand stuff over. But you got to write them down. You got to determine what are the skills that are needed to do that task. You need to write down the skills that you need in your business. So what are the skills that are needed to clean up images? Well, you got to have access to a computer. You got to have the software that I'm talking about. You got to have access to a folder that has all the pictures in it. So let's start with those types of things. What are the skills? Well, the ability to determine that, I can't have you taking a picture of a watch and completely making the entire picture white and sending me back a picture of a white picture because you've erased everything. Like, okay, you need to know how to go around the edges of a picture. Like, do you have a steady hand? Do you not have a steady hand? Do you know how to highlight what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of in the background? That kind of stuff. So you need to figure out what skill they need to have. And I mean, sometimes that skill may include, like, do they need to be able to speak English or not? Because a lot of my team is in another country, so I need them to be able to understand me. Otherwise, we're going to be having some super duper long conversation because we are definitely not on the same page. So if you don't understand me when we're going through the interview process, we are probably not going to be able to work together because I don't have the time to teach you English and the job. Can't do both. And then how you want to outsource. Do you want to outsource individually? Do you want to outsource to a company? So we also have a team that we outsource a bunch of tasks to. We outsource 50 tasks a month out to a company called Emphasize. They will do 30-minute tasks for us. Again, these are simple tasks. So the 30-minute task, it doesn't mean that the task takes a total of 30 minutes. It can be up to 30 minutes. So one of the things that we might have them do is check all the emails. We need somebody to go check emails. I don't want to do it. I don't want to have my VAs do it. Let's just use the service to go do it. I pay you $75 a month to do 50 tasks for me in a month. Okay. So $75, that's $1, roughly $1.15 or so. A task. That's dirt cheap. I can give you simple tasks to do. Go check emails, go check voicemails, go check whatever. So for you as a Shopify store owner, you could take that service and say, okay, somebody can check incoming emails from customers, customer inquiries, and separate them out into these are customer questions, these are customer refunds or complaints or whatever. They can separate them out for you. If it's something that's a simple question, you can teach them how to go find the answer. What is the size of this belt? What is the length of this belt? If you didn't put it into the listing, that's a lesson learned for you. You need to create better listings so that it's in the body of the listing description. Sometimes it's there and people are just blind, so you just have to point it out. But teaching your VA how to do those things. So is that extra work for Emphasize to do to be able to answer a question about the length of a belt or the size of a belt? No, I mean, it's still within the 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes to do all this email work every single day. That's it. Okay. Task number one. Checking voicemail. So we have all our calls go to Grasshopper is the service that we use. One of those services that I mentioned in the Shopify training. So we have a Grasshopper account. So they call in, they check to see if we have any voicemail messages, and they let us know if we have voicemail messages. I don't have time to do that. Is that task a long task? No, it's 2 minutes. It's maybe 1 minute. The email task is maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. But that is all that incremental time adds up. It adds up. So at the end of a week, when you say, oh, well, that's only 2 minutes, never use the word only with money or time. If you don't learn anything else from me, don't ever do that. It's only 30 minutes. It's only 20 minutes. It's only, no, time is something you will never get back for the rest of your life. When the time is gone, you cannot get it back, period. No matter if it's 2 minutes, 30 seconds. When people say, oh, that was a waste of time, like I went to go see a horrible movie. Yeah, that's time you will never get back ever again in life. Could I have done something more productive with my time? Absolutely. So I'm just saying, don't ever. And then when it comes to money, well, that's only 10 cents. That's only 15 cents. I used to make almost $3,000 a month on change. So only, I never use only ever again since I had a candy vending business, because every quarter matters. Every dime matters. Every nickel matters. That stuff adds up. And over time, when you're making $3,000 a month, that's $36,000 a year. Never say only with money. Okay. So, so determine, do you want a service to be able to do this for you? Or do you need an individual to do this for you? And if you're using an individual, then you got to go through the process of finding that individual. But before you find the individual, you got to know what you're going to ask them. You got to know what you're going to need them to do. So after you go through the what you want to outsource, then the next part of it is pulling together the interview stuff. So what is the things that you need them to know? Do you have a computer? Do you know how to use Google Documents? Do you know how to use Word? Do you know how to use Excel? Do you know how to do Google searches or Bing searches? Like, what are the limitations if we're outsourcing to a country, like in another country? Like, I had to learn, they can't do any of our TikTok work. Like, my son has to do the TikTok work because India has prohibited TikTok over there. Okay. So I had to figure that out. So what are the questions you want to ask them? What are the things that you want them to be able to know, to understand? And I will tell you, when you first do this for the first time, your interview questions are going to be horrible. But as you get better over time, you will get better at creating more effective interview questions. If you have an HR friend in your life, an HR friend can help you flush out good questions to ask a VA. An HR friend will help you think through what is it that you do, so you can ask a question associated with what you do. So if one of the things you want your VA to do is to go do product research for you, then you can ask them, okay, one of the questions you might ask is, okay, do you buy products online? Yes or no? Okay, if you buy products online, we're at least 15 to 25% there. So you buy products online, what's some of the stuff that you buy online? When I buy diapers for my baby, or I buy socks or whatever. Okay. So when you go buy socks, what store do you go to go buy socks? I go buy this. Okay. What size socks are you looking for? What colors are you looking for? Certain ones? Do you wear socks in the winter? Do you wear socks in the summer? Blah, blah, blah. So you could literally take that question and start dissecting what is their capacity to be able to do product research for me. Because based on their answers, if they're fluffing you, you're going to know pretty quick. But if they're not, they're like, well, no, I don't wear socks in the summertime. It's too hot for socks unless I'm going to go jogging. Okay, you and I are so on the same page right now. If you say, yes, I wear socks in the summertime. Why are you wearing socks in the summertime? Is it hot? Like, is it cold? Like, what's the temperature there? Like, I'm trying to understand. Like, why would you wear that? Do you wear sandals, flip-flops? What are you wearing? Versus in the wintertime, like if I say, are you wearing socks in the wintertime? No, I don't wear socks in the wintertime. Okay, how cold does it get there? Like, so you got, things that will be red flags for you that are pretty obvious, because you're, again, handing off the more, we would say, simplistic tasks initially. And then what's the task they need to be able to do, and what hours. So for me, the VAs, they have to be available every single day at a certain time. I have them on a schedule where we do weekly touch bases. And so each VA, I do a touch base twice a week with them. They have to be available at that time. It's an agreed upon time. If you're not available, can't do it. I give them work for the week. Initially, I was giving them work for the day, and now I moved to giving them work for the week. So I give them a task. Sundays, I plan out what I need them to do for the week. I record a Loom video. I have a list of activities I want them to do. I send them the sheet and I give them the video of everything I need them to do for the week. And then we have 2 touch bases. If you got questions, you've already got the Loom video. You've already got the list of what I need you to do. I need you to ask me questions when we come in the session, because the first 15 minutes is you asking me questions about what I told you to do. And then the second 15 minutes is us talking about what else needs to happen. So then that way we're clear. And so that is the routine that they've been trained on, that they're like, okay, you need to have your questions ready when you jump on the call. Hiring cheap and expecting everything. You cannot hire somebody to do your marketing work and you're only paying them $200 a month to work 20 hours a week and expect them to do your high-end marketing stuff. That's just completely unrealistic. Like, it's just not going to happen. There will be people that say, yes, I can do that. Yeah, especially in other countries. They'll tell you, yes, they can do everything, and they cannot do everything. So be realistic about it. You may have to make adjustments to your budget and have to make adjustments to make sure you have the money available to do some of the stuff you want to do, long-term, bigger picture. But you can't hire somebody for $200 a month or $400 a month or $600 a month and expect them to be able to do everything. And the last thing, your VA has to be able to pay for themselves. The work that you have them doing, they have to have some level of an income producing component to it so that they can pay for themselves. What's the point of having a VA if they can't pay for themselves? If you are creating listings for me over time, like it might be a quota that's associated with it. So we may start off with no quota, with the understanding that you will go to a quota of creating no less than 50 listings a week or 100 listings a week manually, cross-listing on other platforms, so that as I get sales, okay, those sales were generated from this VA working. I can cover this VA's expenses. So there has to be some level of a component of improvement in your business or simplification of your business that warrants paying for that VA. And then not having a regular schedule or some type of touch base or how you're going to handle emergencies. You know, my VAs, because they're in other countries, you know, sometimes the electricity goes out. Sometimes, you know, stuff happens. Stuff happens to us here in the US. So stuff happens to other people in other countries. It's just the fact of this journey of life. So you need to have a way in which your VAs can connect with you when there are emergencies, okay? And that you can reach them when there are emergencies so they can let you know. And it may also cause you, because if you have international VAs, increase your global awareness. You are more apt to understand if there's a tsunami in another country and understand that that tsunami could affect the electricity and the internet for like a week. And you have to be prepared for that kind of stuff. What does that do to your business? Well, you're first starting, that's horrible. But if you've been doing it for a while, maybe you do have a buffer built in that they can be down for a week. And then once they come back online, you're like, okay, we can hit the ground running again. And maybe they understand, okay, I got to work an extra couple of hours because of the fact that we've been down. So you need to be prepared for that kind of stuff and be aware, increase your awareness. I would always encourage you to schedule a touch base with your VAs. And when you first start, maybe you're doing 15-minute touch bases every single day until you get to a place where you can do a weekly. The other thing is not diversifying your tasks across the business. So having one VA do all of the listings and never training any, if you bring on a second VA, never training a second VA to do that, or not having a process in place to be able to handle if your VA quits, leaves, needs to leave, something happens, that kind of stuff. Not setting up your VA correctly, oh my gosh, like you got to make sure that they have access to everything that they need to be able to do the job. You have to make sure that you've given them the instructions that they need to be able to do the job, or that they have an understanding. If you want them to replicate you, you have to write down what you do. You have to record what you do. You got to show them what you do. And you have to have as much detail as possible. You can start with that high level checklist that we started with, but remember, every single one of those items on the checklist has a subtask, a secondary task. So they need to know what the secondary tasks are. That is their actual action plan. That is their actual job. It is the major task along with the subtask, so that that major task is not done until all the little pieces of the subtask are done as well. Not allowing enough time to get your VA up and running. I have a friend who I make fun of all the time, and he's an 8-figure seller. Okay, so I make fun of him all the time, but he kills me. He brings on VAs and he burns through VAs because he does not allow enough time for that VA to get up and running. He was like, Nicole, if you could just come on board and help me to get my VA situation under control, that would be great. I said, if I came on board, you and I would not be friends anymore because I'm telling you, you're not giving your VAs enough time to get up and running. So I can only advise you from a distance. I don't make the kind of money you make. I don't invest the amount of time that you do. You have got to make sure that you have a plan in place for every single one of your VA. You should have a VA onboarding process. You should have a VA because I said, you have the money to do this. I don't have the money to have a VA onboarding process. Like have a VA that onboards other VAs. Like I don't have that. Dude, you make more money than I do. So learn that, just know that even people who make a lot of money still don't have that part right. You do have to allow your VAs enough time to get up and running, to fully understand your business operation so that way they can actually positively impact your business. Because a significant number of these VAs out here in the universe really do want a long-term steady job. They want something steady, and you may be the solution to it if you get organized. If you get organized and get consistent, you can help them, and just trust me, they will be a blessing to your business, and they will go above and beyond. When you guys have to work those crazy hours during Q4, they will be willing and committed to doing it because of the fact that they understand your bigger vision and because they know that you've given them enough time to learn this job. So not listening to your feedback from your VA is extremely important, because sometimes if they do something for 6 months, because the one thing about working in an e-commerce business is when you're working in the business, you can't see the business. So that's like being in the forest and somebody's saying, go chop down the red tree. Well, you're in the middle of the forest. All you see is like brown and green trees around you. You don't see the red tree. You have to go up above over the tree line, maybe like a bird or get a drone so you can see where the red tree is and know which direction to walk in to see the red tree. While you're in it, you can't see it. Until you step away, you get a better view of your business. So that's the one thing that a VA can help you do. When you're working in your business, you can't see it. When you're working on your business and you see it from the top, you see so much clearer where you're potentially going in your business. What's the direction? What do you want to build? So that's the thing that a VA can help you do. When they're giving you feedback, take it. Maybe the way that you have been doing it, maybe they came up with an easier way to do it because they wanted to save themselves time. Like, Nicole, this thing you have me doing is taking me 2 hours every single day, and I think I can knock it down to an hour, and here's how I'm going to knock it down to an hour. I'm like, I'm all ears. Because what does that do for me? That means I get another hour of productivity out of this VA to go do something else. So I'm just saying. So share your vision with your VAs. I hope this is helpful. What questions do you guys have about that part so far? Any questions?
No, it's going well.
All right. Okay. All right. So the next thing is, now that we've kind of talked about, what you need to be prepared to do, now let's go through it. So the first thing is, of course, document all your business processes. Like, document what you do. Everything you do in your business, document it. Eventually, your goal is, I don't know what your vision is. Like, I really do want to sell my business. So my business is more prone to be of interest to people if they feel like it is organized and there's a structure. And they can take over my business and be able to continue to make the kind of revenue that I make in my business from that day forward. And they can scale it to something more ridiculous than anything that I could ever imagine. So the only way that I'm going to be attractive to any company is that I actually have my process documented. The only way that I'm going to maintain and sustain any VAs I bring on board is that I actually document what I need them to do. I can't give them a sheet that has 12 bullets on it and expect them to be able to do a task. And then they go, I don't understand. Well, there's clearly a piece missing here because no, just read the sentence. It tells you what you need to do. No, there's not enough information here. I don't have enough information to do every piece of it. I can only take it this far, and then I have to stop. I hit a wall. You got to give me some more information to finish out this task. So again, document your stuff. Write out your business processes. Those become your standard operating procedures. Once you do that, I would record a Loom video of the same thing So you have it in written form. You can use Google Docs. Google Docs are free. We use Google Docs all the time. There's also Google Workspace now, so you can do a bunch of stuff with that, but you have to pay for Google Workspace. But Google Docs are free. Just create a Gmail account and go click on Drive, and there you go. So Google Docs is just like having Microsoft Word. Google Spreadsheets is just like having Microsoft Excel. You know, Google Slides is just like having Google PowerPoint. So, I'm sorry, not Google, Microsoft PowerPoint. So there's comparable tools out there that are absolutely free. So record it using Loom. You can create a free Loom account. Again, not costing you any money yet. None of this is costing you money to get this VA on board yet. Okay. So record a Loom video, just talking through those instructions and maybe showing some screens as examples of whatever the task is you want them to do. The first thing I tell my VA to do in their first 30 days is to take my SOP, my standard operating procedures, or my documentation, and improve them. Write in what I missed. Write in the little things that I didn't point out that somehow I missed in the wording. Because why are you having your VA do that? Because if that VA ever leaves, now you have another VA coming on board, and all the little things that you missed, now they're incorporated into your training materials, and the next VA won't have that same hurdle. So have them go through your training instructions and add to it. Clone your instructions. You don't want them to mess up your original set, but clone them, give them access to the clone, and have them add their missing pieces. Okay, that'll make your life a whole lot easier. As you bring on more VAs, you will have the most detailed instructions ever, so that when you finally come across that VA who is not capable of doing the job, but somehow they got in the door and they sold you on it, because I just recently had to fire a VA and they sold you on the job, and then you realize my instructions are so detailed and you can't get them, and they have literally been tweaked by 3 different people, then you're clearly not a fit for me, and I can let you go. I have a justifiable reason to let you go, because we clearly are not communicating well. You don't understand, and 3 other people were able to get it, but you can't. So there's something else out there in the world for you to do, but it is not working with me. So congratulations. You're free to fly wherever you want to go. So make sure you do that and ask them to review them. Then the next thing is, decide whether or not you want to go with a company, whether you want to hire an individual, or whether you want to go with a service. So if you go with a company might be onlinejobs.ph. So they are going to allow you to hire a person that works in the Philippines or some of the other countries, and you will work through the tools that they have. There's a whole screen monitoring thing that they have set up, and a bunch of different tools that they have available that you work through, but you're paying for that service. When you hire somebody through Online PH, you understand that you're hiring them for a period of time. So if you're hiring them for 6 months, you actually pay for 7. If you're hiring them for 12 months, you actually pay for 13. So you always have to have that. So you need to make sure you have that pool of money set aside. You can hire people in other countries for less money than what you would pay people in the US, because the cost of living is different in those countries. I had to get over that initially, because I was like, okay, but then when I learned what they pay for different things, I'm like, okay, yeah, we don't pay that here in the US for something like that. Like, we pay way more than that. So the cost of living is less expensive. So that's how you can hire a VA, pay them at $450 a month to work 40 hours a week and still not feel guilty about it. Okay. So Online PH will kind of explain some of that to you. Their prices have increased over the years. And so I'm like, I don't do any business with them, but I did start off talking with them, and I did work with them for a little bit. Another one is, so there's other companies that are similar to onlinejobs.ph. So you can just do a Google search on sites, just type in Google, sites similar to Online PH or services similar to Online PH. The other thing is that maybe you want to hire people for specific tasks or specialties. So Upwork, you can hire people if they want them to work on your Shopify store. There's also, Shopify resources. So if you do a search on Shopify store builders, you can hire those guys. There's a list that Shopify has of people that will build a Shopify site for you. Or you can buy an existing Shopify site and edit it. But the thing I always want to caution people about is you need to understand how the Shopify store works before you just buy a random store and then not understand how to maintain or support your store. You at least need to know that. It's kind of like buying an Amazon business from somebody, but never knowing how to create a listing or sell or know when you got to sell on Amazon. Like, that's not smart. Oh, I paid $10,000 for an Amazon business. Okay. Do you know how to log into your back office? No, I do not. Do you know how to create a listing? No, I do not. Do you know how, whether or not you have a sale? No, I do not. You should have never bought that Amazon business. You should have never bought it. So that's my whole point, is that you should, anything that you buy, you need to know what it is, how to do it on your own. And you can always hire somebody to do. So you can hire people from Upwork, Freelancer, Fiverr to do specialty things. I use them for my specialty stuff sometimes. If I need somebody to create a marketing video, I might use them for that. If I need them to create, some type of specialty marketing materials. Now, I really actually already have another service to do that. I use Floxy and Graphic Rhythm Designs to do stuff, but in any case, I still have tools available or services available to do that. And then if you want to hire somebody individually, there are virtual assistants, Facebook groups that you can do that. There has to be a level of trust because you're trusting somebody to some, not all pieces of your business. So you're working to build a relationship with somebody you've never seen, you've never physically met. Like, you can't go knock on their door and go talk to them if you're doing it in another country. So for some people, they just hire people in the US. They would rather just do that. And you can do that. And then there's also services that will just do tasks, like Emphasize. Emphasize just does a list of tasks. I could never give them a full-blown job to do because they will only do 50 tasks that are no longer than 30 minutes whenever. You just give them 50 tasks. So if I say, I want you to check my voicemails 3 times a week, 5 days a week, that's 15 tasks you just ate up out of your 50 tasks. And then if you tell them, okay, I want you to go check, so I check my voicemails and I check my emails 3 times a week, again, that's another 15 tasks. So that's 30 tasks out of your 50, you only got 20 left. So you have to think about services like that. But there's many different ways in which you can slice and dice what it is that you need done. And different companies that will do that. You just need to do a Google search. So decide on individual, decide on service, decide on specialty service, and decide on whether or not you want to hire a company to do some of the work. And again, this is not the full list. There's a lot of different virtual assistant companies that are out there. My goal this year is actually to go through and do some vetting research on those because, I want to know who's really the good guys and who's, some of them that are like fluff. So Free Up is not on here and they should be. So Free, Free Up UP. They hire people to work in your e-commerce business. So, and you can do a Google search on companies like Free Up and you'll get another list of other companies. So there's probably at least a good 50 to 75 companies out there that can do different things for you. The next thing you want to do is you want to test that service, that company, that person to do a simple task for you. Something simple like have them go do some research on maybe something that you sell. Maybe you sell toys, and so you're looking for common products, Easter toys that are already listed on Amazon. So right now, Easter toys. So you say, I just need you to give me a list of 10 Easter toys that are currently active on Amazon in February, and let them come back with the list. You probably have your first person that'll give you a basic list of 10 items. You have another person that'll show up that'll give you 8 items and say they couldn't find the others, or get 5 items and they couldn't find the others. That person is immediately eliminated. And then you'll have that one person that will come back with like 30 items that they found on Amazon. That's probably the person you probably want to have further conversations with because they are a go-getter. They went above and beyond the basic request to prove that they were capable and had the capacity of doing this job. So if the list that they gave you is a legitimate list and it had 30 items on it, I'm going after potentially hiring them. I'm going to monitor their activity for the first month, probably every single day. Then 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I'm going to just kind of evaluate where we are every 90 days. After the first month, I may move to a 3 times a week touch base. And then after the 3rd month, I might move to a twice a week touch base where I'm touching base with them on a regular basis. But you have to have a regular method of communication with them. And then at some point, when they have been doing the job for a while, they know what they need to do, they're 100% on autopilot, I release them and let them just do the job. And then we literally just have a 15-minute standing once a week. So I have one lady that's been with me that's in another country. She's been with me for a year and 2 months, I think, at this point. But everybody else has typically been in the US for me. So I have cut my expenses because of the fact that I started hiring people outside of the country. And I increased the amount of revenue and the workload that I could handle because of the fact that I was able to hire a bunch of people in other countries. But that is the process of bringing the person on. And then what can a VA do for you? Definitely do product research, create listings. So if you're using a tool to create listings, that's great. That person could potentially do cross-listing for you. Maybe you have a cross-listing tool. So you have a process. Maybe you're using a Burlow, maybe you're using Spocket, maybe you're using Shopify. And so you're using those tools to create the listings. Maybe you allow them to come in and tweak the listings, clean them up after the fact, clean up the images, rename the images. Maybe you have them do different things, find better pictures on the internet. There could be many different things in which you could have that person do in your account. You can give them a secondary access. Remember, that was one of the things that we covered, I think, in session 3 or session 4, where you have an admin rights to that account. So you create an account for them, create them a login to your Shopify account to do better pictures. Why would you care about doing better pictures if you're using a Burlow or you're using Spocket or you're using eCom Hunt or you're using Shopify? Because you need to stand out. If everybody's using the same stock photos, how does that help anything? So what can they do to improve the stock photo? Maybe they can drop that image into a tool like Canva and clear the background and maybe change the background of that image. So now maybe increase the size of the product on the picture and then change the background. There's so many cool things that you can do in Canva. So maybe you have a VA that has the capacity to be able to play with the Canva tool and work on graphics. That could put you ahead of the pack when it comes to your listings of selling the same products that everybody else is selling, because your pictures look different than everybody else's. So something to think about. They can do research for private label products. They can do keyword research. They can go through the 9-step or 8-step vetting process of a product to see if this is a viable product. So have them step through that and then give you the results. Teach them how to do all of the product vetting process and let them give you the data. Okay, you have validated that this is a product we should be selling. Thank you very much. Here's your list of wholesale suppliers. Okay, good. Now let me go contact these wholesale suppliers and buy some of this inventory. So they literally saved you all of that product research. They could create designs for you for print on demand, do customer service, potentially create websites, depends on what type of website we're talking about, or maybe maintain your website, fulfill your Shopify orders, or audit to make sure your Shopify orders are being automatically fulfilled, especially if you're using a tool. You got an integration, so you want to make sure they're being fulfilled. You can cross-list on other platforms, create listings, and handle emails. So many, this is not even this is a drop in the bucket on what a VA can do for you. I want you to think through it, and I hope that you use this to your advantage. I've taught this so many times. I feel like this needs to be a podcast, but it's just, I don't think people think about how you can. A VA changed my life, so I'm going to always be an advocate. And I've heard horrible stories about people who got VAs that have taken advantage of them, and those are horrible stories. You can only do so much. Whether you have that problem with a person that's physically in the U.S., you could have that same problem with a person in the US than you do in another country. But I will tell you that I have found so far, and the people that I've worked with and I've been blessed to work with, I've only had to fire 2 VAs ever in my life. And I've been working with VAs since 2017, I think. Yeah. That VAs in other countries, they definitely want to stick around. They want the job so much because they need the money. So their motivation is different. I feel like in some ways they're a little more loyal. In the US, I understand I've hired VAs where they only worked for me for a period of time, and that's okay because they went back to school or they, started college or whatever it happened to be. So they're there for a season, and then I bring on another team for the next season. And that was my thing. I always used to bring people in over the summer, train them for a couple of weeks in the summer, and with the understanding that they would start in September, and they would work in my business for 10 weeks starting in September. And then I would let them go because we're on the tail end of Q4. So that was an understanding. So everybody would work like crazy for 10 weeks, and then they would be done. And then we would take it from there. So in any case, different strategies, people run their businesses different ways. And I want you to think about that. What questions do you have about hiring a VA? All right. So the next one is a fulfillment center versus a prep center and what you potentially could be doing. Now, here's the caveat to this. If you've got an integration in your Shopify store, like with Roberlo, Dropify, or Stockit, then the fulfillment would be happening on the back end where the orders could be either automatically fulfilled, or for some of those, they don't automatically fulfill them. You have to go directly to AliExpress and you have to fulfill it. So depends on what type of integration is happening as to whether or not that supplier has the automated fulfillment versus you have to do it. But in any case, it is going back to potentially AliExpress 99% of the time with those tools. So that is not this process. This is, you've got some actual physical inventory that you have in your possession, or maybe you're doing subscription boxes and you need to send shipments to customers, or you need your inventory stored somewhere so that you can, they can ship it to your customer for you, because Amazon's going to charge you for storing inventory. They're going to charge you a lot of money. Some of the fulfillment centers are going to charge you less. So prep center, they will prep your inventory. They can remove labels. They can clean up the packaging. They can maybe help you create your bundles and stuff like that. Whereas a fulfillment center, everything is ready. It's everything that you would normally send to Amazon. Although Amazon will do some prep stuff, they will charge you an arm and a leg to do it. But it is the same concept of sending stuff to Amazon FBA. Everything has already been cleaned up. All the labels and stickers have already been removed. The only thing that's on there is the barcode that they need to scan when it comes in. They put it on the shelf. When somebody buys it, they pull it down, they package it up, they send it to the customer. So a fulfillment center is not doing anything extra. A prep center is doing all the prep work that you do in your house physically before you send it to an Amazon FBA center. If you're not doing Amazon FBA at all, I'm just going to say that when you buy things, if you're doing retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, buying from wholesale, buying liquidation, sometimes you have to clean up the packaging or adjust the packaging or remove stickers off of the packaging or whatever before you can ship it to your customer, or before you can ship it to a fulfillment center, so that when people buy it, they just pull it off the shelf and don't have to do anything extra to it and ship it to the customer. That's what a prep center does. The prep center does all the stuff that you would physically do, or stuff to make your item presentable for a customer to receive it and not go, what? This was only $4.99 and I paid $49.99 for it. Yeah, because you forgot to remove the sticker. So I'm just saying. I hope that makes sense. That's the difference between the two. So why would you need a prep center or fulfillment center? So you can get the stuff out of your house and reclaim your life, reclaim your garage, your kitchen. Stop paying for a storage unit, because the amount of money you're spending on a storage unit could be the same that you would be spending on a fulfillment center. I'm just saying, or a prep center. Just depends on what it is. So it will save you some time and some money, because again, you're freeing yourself up. You're replicating yourself. Somebody else is doing some of this work for you. Will they be able to do 100% all of it? Maybe not, some of it. But if you have inventory that's coming in from a wholesale supplier, instead of having it come to your house, you can have it sent to your prep center, prep/fulfillment center. If it's inventory that you need to prep, organize, group together because you're doing bundles, and then send it off so somebody else can fulfill the orders when they come in, again, that's going to a fulfillment center. But it will save you time and money. You're not having to pull it. You're not having to ship it yourself. Somebody else is doing that work, and that's why you would do it. Okay. So there are so many benefits. I could go on and on about the benefits. Sometimes that includes faster turnaround, because there are things that happen in your life. Sometimes the hot water heater goes out, or the toilet overflows, or the tire is flat on the car and you can't go anywhere until you get new tires. So, AAA has to come over and change your tire because you got a nail, whatever it happens to be. there are reasons why you don't always get what you need to get done in the time that you need to get done. And so going to a prep center, going to a fulfillment center, sending your stuff to them and letting them deal with your inventory can save you time and money. I'm not going to say all the headaches are going to be gone. I'm not going to say that every prep and fulfillment center is perfect. They are not. There's a few of them out here that are just god awful, but there are some that are out here that are great. So how to find a good one? I would suggest that they at least have been in business no less than 5 years. If they've been in business for 5 years or more, then that may be one that I want to have a secondary conversation with. I might also get a referral from a friend who's actually been using a prep or fulfillment center that they like. So I'm just going to put that out there. They can potentially save you money on a bunch of different things, including the fact that you don't have to order shipping supplies anymore. Maybe you still do, maybe you don't. Just depends on what it is that you're selling. So there's so many reasons why you would go with the prep center or fulfillment center. So I'm not going to go through that list. But what I will say, here's a list of things you do need to ask. You need to be thinking about the location of your fulfillment center or your prep center. You need to decide whether or not you feel like you need a prep fulfillment center or just a fulfillment center. Okay. Prep fulfillment is doing all of the cleanup of the inventory that you acquire and making it presentable for the customer. And so that may mean that they are helping you with your subscription box build, or they're removing stickers off of stuff or whatever. Whereas a fulfillment center is just they check it in, they pull it off the shelf when somebody buys it, they put it into packaging and they ship it off when somebody buys it. So where do you need this location to be? Some people like to be able to drive up to the fulfillment center and see what's up. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so there's a few that are available to us. Or you can pick one that's further out somewhere else. It may be to your benefit from a taxation standpoint to figure out which states where your sales tax implications are not going to be as impacted. So again, that location does matter as well. Service fees, what are they going to charge you if they have to do any of this bundling, polybag stuff? Service costs, what are they going to charge you for that? What are they going to charge you for storage? Okay. What is their turnaround? Do they have any type of guarantee or minimum promises that they're going to make you? Sales tax free, if you're doing online arbitrage, can they make your purchase sales tax free or not, depending on where they are in the US? If I buy it online and I have it shipped to that address, so I'm not putting in my physical address, I'm shipping it somewhere else. Supplies, do they charge you for additional supplies? If you're ordering pallets or doing liquidation pallets, let me just say, liquidations are going to be a huge thing in 2022. Huge, because the number of returns that came back from 2021 are ridiculous. They were up to like 22 to 25%, whereas in-store returns was around 7 to 8%. So that means that there was an exponential increase in the number of returns. I don't know, whatever that number is, 8. So 22, I think about that for a second. So that is 14% increase, which is ridiculous. That is bananas. That is bananas. So there's going to be a lot of liquidation opportunity in 2022 where inventory was returned to a store, returned back to a person, and it never was open, never touched or anything like that. So can your fulfillment center or your prep center handle pallets? Will they clean up those items to remove all the stickers off of them? So that's something to think about. But that is an income opportunity in 2022, just so you guys know. Do they keep the invoices online or on file or not? How long would they hold your products, and what's the storage fees on that? Do they receive hazmat materials? There's Deliver does not accept like batteries. I'm trying to remember everything they don't accept, but they have a list of things they don't want. They will not accept it. So you got to keep that in mind. Will they handle anything for private label or white labeling products for you? Like there may be some specialized packaging that you need done for your private label product. How do they handle returns? Are you going to have to take the returns? Will they handle the returns? Will they store them somewhere for you? Where are they going to charge you to store the returns? Do you need to create any accounts for them? Like, do you need to create a ShipStation account? That is a very common account for people who have Shopify stores to have a ShipStation account. And so that ShipStation account may be what they use for the integration to fulfill the orders. They may log into your ShipStation account to fulfill the orders that come in to your Shopify store. So you want to see if they have an integration with Shopify. And then customer service, like, okay, what's their customer service process? If you have any questions or concerns, extremely important to know a lot of that stuff, you know. So we have a few that we recommend. My fulfillment team is in Tennessee. Canada Prep and Fulfillment, Deliver, we have those accounts. There's a couple more that are not listed here, but my fulfillment team, I know, is expanding their warehouse, and they were recently hit with the tornado was hit near them, but didn't hit them. The tornadoes that happened the freak ones that happened, I think it was in December. Was it December when those tornadoes hit? It was weird. It was like not a time of the year where tornadoes traditionally hit. But in any case, you know, I know John Bullard and his team. He's pretty cool, and he's out of Tennessee. So that's my fulfillment team. And then Canada Prep and Fulfillment, they're working on expansion as well. So that's another one. So here's a list of different fulfillment services, and some of them will do prep work for you and also do fulfillment. You can see where they're located and you know, figure out what you want to do. Precision Prep is another one that we recommend. And she's been part of our summit as well. Here's some of the other ones. So I need to get an updated list just to confirm. That's probably going to be on my list for the VAs this year, just to make sure that we get an updated list of all these so we can put them on our website of all of the prep services and where they are. And I know that there's a more extensive list than this. And so hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have that and we can start maintaining it, where they're located and what their services are. There's a lot more fulfillment and prep centers that have popped up. So the thing I would suggest again is making sure that you go back and check those that have been in business for at least 5 years. Not something that just, you know, oh, okay, we set up our operations last year because we saw the demand. You have not gone through enough Q4s for me to be able to work with you. So just putting it out there in the universe. So, what questions can I answer regarding prep and fulfillment centers? This is a long list. You can always come back and rewatch the back end of the video. This was one of the questions that someone was asking me. This was the golden goose for Shopify. So this is where on Shopify, where they will allow you to be able to sell products like supplements. And so their Golden Goose project or product allows you to do that. So Golden Goose, you can either sign up for Shopify and you can ask them questions about the Golden Goose. I don't even know if the URL is still good. I have to double check that. But in any case, this is the program that I went through regarding the supplements. So to be able to sell. All right. So what questions can I answer right now? I'm looking for, where is FBM?
So when you say the supplements, that's like any supplements like from Walmart or from Kroger's maybe?
Okay, those are supplements that already have a name brand on them, so that's different. When I'm talking about supplements, it's like you want to brand your own supplements. So I don't know, you know, whatever you decide you want to name it. So maybe you have some initials. So you put your initials, blah, 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 you know, vitamin C. So it is your branded vitamin C. That's different than doing retail and online arbitrage where you're buying supplements at a, you know, Walgreens or Walmart. That's different.
Or like a private label.
Yep. But it's not true private label. True private label is from a conception to the end product. This is really white label. This is taking a product that has already gone through the FDA approval and all of that other stuff, and you're slapping your brand logo on it and branding it yourself. That's different. So that's what it is. So I like to distinguish the difference between true private label and fake private label. True private label is developing something from complete conception versus taking something that already exists in the universe and putting your brand on it and branding it. That's not true private label. That's white labeling.
So you would have to find a company that lets you do white label.
Yes. And I think I know that probably in session 2, I think I talked about white label. Let me just look. pretty sure. One of the easiest ways to find some of the white label companies, besides like Dropify does supplements, but is, let me stop sharing for just a second, is go to White Label Expo. There's a whole bunch of companies that are on there. You can click on the exhibitors and White Label Expo. You can look at the exhibitors so that you can get a feel for what are the possibilities, products that you can brand if branding is your jam, if that's what you're trying to do. So show my screen. I don't know what your e-commerce journey and plan is. So that's the thing. You got to figure out what your plan is. So it looks like they're having an event in May 25th, 26th of 2022. So it's coming up in Vegas. And you can go to exhibitors and you can see all the exhibitors. Maybe they'll show last year's exhibitors, but anyway, they show you all of these exhibitors that are in here. There's a lot of exhibitors, and you can go through this list. This could be something that you could have a VA do for you and say, I am trying to find a white label suppliers that can help me with XYZ. So maybe you're selling hair, or maybe you're selling eyelashes, or maybe you're selling lotion or candles, or maybe you're selling dog beds. Like, you can have a VA come out here. This is another thing that they can do for you. And they can go through and do the research on all of these white label suppliers. You know, you search by the categories, or you can look and see what other products do they sell. So maybe I want to go here and say, okay, EBM equipment, what do they sell? Let's go look at their site. Let's go see what my opportunities are and see if it fits what your e-commerce plan journey is. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways in which you can find. So you can actually just do a Google search for white label, but White Label Expo is definitely going to give you an immediate list of exhibitors. And then you can go from there to see, you know, what are the possibilities.
Have you ever used a VA from Fiverr? How successful are they, if you have?
I have used a VA from Fiverr to do specific things. So I've never hired them to work in my business long term. I've only hired them to do short-term gigs. So I would not, if I wanted somebody to do product research for me ongoing forever, then I would hire somebody to do that, because I'm not going to pay Fiverr to do that. But you could maybe find a person that will do product research for you on Fiverr and see if you want to extend a relationship with them or not. But if you think that there's other things that you need them to do for you, again, a company like onlineph.jobs may be better, or you need to compile the list of what you really need first before you start jumping into the VA pool. That's one of the, you know, the common mistakes is that people jump into the VA pool and then they're not organized enough to know everything that they need them to do or want them to do. And so you just randomly throw stuff at them every day, which is, again, I have a friend who's an 8-figure seller and I make fun of him all the time. He gets mad at me that I do it, but I don't care. I'm like, dude, you could be you already make more money than I do, but that's only by accident because of the way that you run your business. I'm like, you need, as that you could be making way more money and be less stressed out if you would just think through what you need your VAs to do. Think through it. Think through what you need your VAs to do. And then build a process around that. Well, why can't you do that for me? I'm not going to do that for you. Are you going to pay me $100,000? I'll do it if you pay me $100,000. If you're not, I'm not doing it because I don't want to deal with your stress. So we always have this very candid conversation. But yeah, you need to figure out what it is that you want the VA, you need the VA to do, and then go from there.
Okay. Well, I had used Fiverr, but I made a mistake. When I first got my business was started, Shopify, I had used someone from Fiverr, but you'll see next week, well, when we come back, my store. But I had to come to class though to learn about Shopify, because all the things that he done to the store, I just still didn't understand. But
yeah,
see next week.
That was my other thing. I talked to so many people that have done that same thing. Like, yeah, somebody built it for me. And I'm like, would you ever buy an Amazon store without knowing how to create a listing or check your numbers and see if you have a sale? Like, no, okay, but then why would you do that for Shopify? Just let's take the opportunity to at least learn the business. And then, like, yeah, okay, now I can hire somebody. And then you'll know immediately. Here's the great thing about that. You'll know immediately when somebody is snowing. Like when you can call BS very quickly. Like, no, that's not it. You don't create it that way. You can, that's the reason why I'm like, I need to know how to do it. I may not do it and I don't have to be an expert at it. I mean, I do it long term, but I at least need to understand it so I can be able to call BS. All right.
So I also heard it in the session you said. So like if I know we having a 2-week break and then then I'll be able to show my store. But so say if we after that class and we get it up and I get my store up and running and we need a one-on-one session, how does that go about with you?
You just all you have to do is just click on in your email, your welcome email. You got a 20-minute session. All you have to do is just click on that and schedule it. Right now, there's no available time today. Like there's no available time today because all my time is blocked for the summit. But as soon as the summit is over, I have open pockets of time. And so you can just go schedule some time and we can sit down and go over your store and look at it. It is a 20-minute session. So you want to have everything that you've gotten done ready to go. And then we can go through and talk about your store, play with it, look at it, work on it, whatever. In that window, it'll probably end up being a 30-minute session, but yeah, it's scheduled for 20 minutes.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So let's go through it. And then again, because you're part of the Shopify course, anytime we teach Shopify again, you get to come for free. So you have lifetime access to the repeat course, live course, as often as you want to.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Unless somebody else has some questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to look at stores. I will show my store the next time we meet, which is on the 5th. I'll show my planner store and my calendar store. Sorry, for the eCom planner calendar. And I'll probably show my son's store too. He has a store. My other son will probably have a store by then as well. So I'll show my store so you can see him.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, I hope you all have a blessed day, a blessed week, a blessed weekend. I hope you get registered for the summit. Go sign up now and invite somebody else to sign up. And if you want to buy the recordings, you will see a discounted rate for just you. That email's going to come out later on today after we finish. I finish the next class I have to teach.
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
All right. You all have a blessed one. We'll talk on the 5th or for the summit. Oh, don't forget, we're giving away prizes for the summit. So pay attention on the website pages because we do have prizes that we give away. So, all right. You guys have a great one.